3, Not-So-Mystery Tour.
Not-So-Mystery Tour. So this, again, I'm just so excited. This is Rob Mack. We're at Aphelion Wines, St Andrews Terrace.
Hang on, where?
St Andrews Terrace.
Wallunga. Yeah.
Just off the main road, down at the bottom of the hill. I came here again, first time, maybe 3 months ago. Came in here, didn't know what to expect. I'll be absolutely honest, didn't know what to expect. I was invited to come in, and from the first wine to the last wine, this was a place again that spun my head, and it was particularly about how refined these were and the aromatics of these wines. This is a really, really special place. So I'm super excited, and what I'm excited about is to compare it against some of the other ones we've been doing. We've got some Grenache going on here, as well as some other wines, but just to look at the difference, totally worlds apart, both awesome, but just different.
Right, so give us some history. Welcome, firstly.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Yeah. So give us some history about yourself as a winemaker and obviously the label as well.
So we've only been going since 2014, so relatively young in the scheme of things, but we're part of this sort of new wave, I guess, that's come through McLaren Vale in the last decade, and we've been focusing on Grenache from the start. So from 2014 onwards, it's almost been single vineyard the whole way through, from Blewett Springs, which is our sort of mecca. I have no problem saying it is the best region or sub-region for Grenache in the country, and look internationally as well, it really punches above its weight.
So you're calling the best
it is
region,
the best sub-region
in the world?
Oh,
Let's go with it.
Let's not make the Spaniards and the French too angry, but certainly in the country. That's always been our thing from the start, is Grenache. So probably more than half our production is Grenache, but then we do have some interesting varieties around that, which we'll have a chat about, I'm sure. My personal history on the wine side was a bit different to most producers. I came from a commercial background, so did a business degree first up, came through from wine buying and merchandising when I was living in Sydney for a bit, and then started production. But when I came back home...
Well, tell me a little bit more about that. When you were in Sydney, you were buying and...
So I worked at a company called Lathwaites, which run a lot of wine clubs for the Australian newspaper, Australian Geographic, these sort of national wine clubs. So I was involved in putting together sort of mix packs and things like that for these places.
So what did you have to do? Taste them all?
Yeah, so it was.
Geez, that was a horrible job.
It was. So it was a buying team that I was a part of, and they'd be buying in wines from producers across the country and internationally as well. And then we curate packs for certain wine clubs and deciding, what hopefully people would enjoy as far as all reds packs or whites packs or mixed packs, all that sort of thing. So that really opened me up to a lot of different styles of wine. And then from there, I was given the opportunity with that same company to move back here. They've got a production site over on Chalk Hill Road, so just a few k's away. And I started producing the wines that go under their own label, their bespoke labels for their wine clubs. So I came from that commercial side, which I think was fantastic from when we started our own brand in 2014, because I had the business side behind me. I knew how to sell. I knew the costs involved. I knew what we could do, and I knew the trajectory that we could take. So we started off small, only 1 tonne a couple of barrels in 14, a couple of tonne in 15, same in 16, and then 2017 was the first year we sort of ramped up. We got up to nearly 20 tonne in sort of that one hit, and that's when we sort of went national. And 17 really put us on the map.
When you say you went national?
Yep. So we started working with distributors in other states.
Okay.
Yeah. So up until then, we just sort of sold through mostly in South Australia, and it was just people who knew about us. We sent to a couple of critics like the Winefront and guys like that, and they just hooked into us, and we'd sell it all direct. But after that...
What state first took off?
Melbourne.
Melbourne?
So Victoria, yeah. Melbourne.
Okay.
And Melbourne is consistently our strongest up until, obviously this year they've struggled a little, but they're coming back online now, which is great. So Melbourne has been consistently our strongest. Brisbane's going strong now
Yeah,
too.
I would have guessed Brisbane.
Yeah.
Lighter style wines. And
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for climate, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the main reason for that is Brisbane was not our first focus. So
Fair enough.
we had a great person or a great group working with us in Melbourne. So
Yeah.
they pushed it hard.
Why have you focused on Grenache? I mean, I love it, but why do you love it, and why have you focused on it?
It's one of my favourite things to drink.
Yeah.
And I'll be quite honest and say I only make wines that I want to drink. I've talked to a few other winemakers who just don't drink their own wine. I think, why the hell are you making wine that you don't want to drink? I'll go into our cellar that has walls of other wines, and I'd say half the time I walk out with one of mine.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of, could go that, could go that. I'll just grab one of mine, and because I know it's going to be something that I'm keen on drinking.
Yeah.
So the drinkability factor of Grenache is huge. It's such a versatile variety that we can produce things like this one that we'll have a look at, which is all about the fruit and the energy and the vibrancy of Grenache, and it's right through to, we do a sort of 100% whole bunch ferment batches as well, so full clusters of hand-picked fruit, and that just produces this sort of sappy, savoury structural style as well, and they're great as extremes, and then we meet in the middle with a few of our other Grenaches too, which has the best of both worlds, and that's when really the food-friendly nature of Grenache comes through. So,
let's crack into
have a
it.
look.
What
Yeah.
are we going to
We'll start with the white. So I've talked about Grenache all the time, but then we'll start with the white.
And something different as a what?
Yeah, so we make two whites, and they're both the same variety, but they're from slightly different regions. So the two Chardonnays. So we do one from the hills, which is part of this range here, which you can see they look a bit different. This is our core range, which is what we've been doing from the start, basically, and it's our premium range, what we hang our hat on. This is called the Welcome range, which we've only just released the first two wines of. We've got 3 more coming. We're doing a rosé next year as well. And
A
probably
rosé?
A rosé.
Stop there with the rosé.
So with the rosé.
Great.
is it
There'll be a
Grenache
rosé. Don't even bother
Sorry.
asking the question. Next year there'll be a rosé.
There's always a rosé next
No, we've
year.
got a
isn't it?
rosé heckler.
Ah, good. Okay. Well, we'll see how we go with that next year.
Sorry, what with your rosé? What's it?
It's going to be Mataro base.
Mataro?
With about
Mataro?
20%
Oh,
Grenache.
Mourvedre,
Yeah.
Mataro.
Yeah, I would have been guessing Grenache.
Yeah, I love Grenache. It just can get a little bit, in rosé I find it can get a little bit too fruity, if you know what I mean. So I prefer a more savoury style of Grenache. Food
As do we. So
we'll see how we go then.
Well, my favourite is
Come
a
back to that.
Grenache Mourvedre or Grenache Mataro
Yeah.
rosé. So
So it's
On one
going to
board.
be slightly the other way around.
Yeah.
Right. That'll be interesting.
So with the Chardonnays, we have two. We've got one from the hills, which is in this range, which is our kind of early drinking, crunchy aperitif kind of style range. And we have this one, which is from 50-year-old vines grown by the Brini family up in the top of Blewett Springs. And that's where we get most of our best Grenache from as well, that single vineyard. We've been working with him from the start, and I've known him a few years before that. But this fruit is, I reckon, I'm not sure, but I reckon this is probably the oldest Chenin planting in the Vale. We're looking at 50-year-old.
We'll call it anyway. It's the oldest.
it is now.
It's
It is
yeah.
now. There you go. I'll be very-
Someone will work out comments say it's not. But
Exactly. No, I think most of the Chenin that was planted around the time would have been pulled out by now. So
why?
he's stuck with this because it's a hard sell. That's the thing. You don't have many people coming through saying, "Oh, where's your Chenin? I need to try your Chenin." But once it's in front of people, then it's a different story. Treatment wise, because that vine age produces quite intense fruit, what we do is put half of it through oak ferment. So we're looking at half tank and half neutral oak. So it's 2014, 2015. So the oak flavour has been stripped out with wine that's gone through before.
Yeah.
What we're after is texture. So we're after almost like a Chardonnay style of Chenin here. So we're looking at a textural style.
Let me ask one question quickly to Luke. Have you had a Chenin before?
Before here, no. No. Like with any of the wines here,
Oh,
on the nose, this one here, I mean, seriously, how good is it?
it does smell.
There's so much going on.
Does the glass have anything to do with it?
Well,
That's why we use them is
the
to
glasses
really
are amazing to
express
get
out
that air into them.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with tastings is often we are opening fresh bottles and pouring and saying, "Oh, what do you reckon of that?" These wines always look better on the second day. So to speed that up, we use glasses that have a big surface area, and we can get a lot of air through there.
So they always look better on the second day.
Yeah.
Well, this is delicate.
Yeah, that's a
You know?
good call.
It's delicate, and so because it's so delicate, everything is just coming through just beautifully. You know, all those beautiful tastes, and I'm not the guy to talk about what all of those are, but in terms of it's just they're so subtle.
Why is it not a mass-produced or?
Not much around. So I only know of maybe 3 vineyards in McLaren Vale that have Chenin. If you look over west, Swan Valley, like they hang the hat on Chenin pretty much in WA. Down south in Margs, they've got a lot down there too. And a lot of that is because of the South African immigration that came through. So if you look at South Africa, that's basically a national white grape, is Chenin Blanc.
Ah, there you go.
So
what an education we're getting.
Yeah.
You know?
So a lot of that came through. I mean, the reason I work with it is because I've got access to this amazing site.
Yeah.
Tick that off. But the second thing is I fell in love with the Vouvrays that I've tried out of the Loire, and that is all 100% Chenin. And what they do...
Go back a step there. Are we talking France here?
Yep. So Loire Valley in France, sort of central but west coast. And they specialise in Sauv Blanc and Chenin.
Right.
The Savies they usually call Fumé Blancs, they're a bit more oak driven. But the Chenins they do from sparklings to dry to medium sweet to dessert wines. And the spectrum of that is what drew me to this, because that's what we do with Grenache.
Yeah.
One of the things that drew me to Grenache was the spectrum of what we could do with it. And it works with Chenin too. So, like I say, we have one that is a very aperitif, early picked style out of Kaipo.
Yeah.
Single vineyard in Kaipo. And this is made to be on the other end of the spectrum, which is more textural, more food friendly, I think. And this will need a little bit of time to come together. It is only a very recent bottling.
Yeah.
And you can see maybe a few pokey edges around it, but...
so what would the optimum drinking time, or cellar time? Or?
I'd be looking at cellaring this quite happily up to probably 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
You can see that acid drive there just adds this massive layer of freshness. And when I'm looking at aging whites, I'm looking at levels of acid more than anything else. Whereas, say, red's looking at a balance of tannin and acid. So whites don't have the tannin.
Can I just butt in? It's really interesting. When you have it sitting there, give it a sniff, and I think, absolutely, and I'll say the word that my mum loves so much when she hears me on television, she goes, phenomenal.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
And then when I swirl it, it goes. I don't know what the two differences are, but they're different. They're equally as good. But it becomes, when you swirl it, you get more fruit from it. But there's something coming through before I swirl it that, to me, on the just sniffing it is just so relaxing. And I don't know what it is in there, but it's.
So it probably shows more of that sort of lemony blossom character before it gets the air through.
Yeah.
And then once it gets the air through, more of the heavier fruit, like the stone fruit, starts coming through. Because this is picked, it's about 13.5% alcohol, so it's picked on probably the riper edge of medium, because the fruit has this acid line that just keeps everything so fresh that I'm not concerned about picking it a little bit later than I would the other one. And then with the texture we get from the oak ferment, kept on lees and stirred to really keep that. You know,
and I'm going to come in here because I hold on to things. I'm like an elephant. I was critiqued earlier in the day about the temperature of white wine. What temperature would you be serving this at?
Around 14 degrees. 12 to 14. So I'd be keeping it in the fridge. I'll be taking it out a good 45 minutes before I open it, if you've got the time, obviously. Otherwise, it warms up faster in the glass because there's less volume. But it's like any kind of white wine that is textural and slightly fuller bodied. It needs a little bit of a warmer temperature. Or if you're looking at, say, a young Semillon or something like that, serve it at 8.
In last week, I had a rosé down at Sellex Hill, and I brought it out and I served it to some guests with it, and straight out, and it just wasn't doing what I knew it to do. And I said, wait, give it 20 minutes, give it 20 minutes. And it turned into a different beast. And then the next day, when I had it again, it was even it had changed, but it needed the temperature to rise, and it needed a little bit of time. And like this is, I think, we just mix it up a little bit. We seem to be serving white wine way too cold, maybe red wine way too warm.
That's the other point too, which is good to mention, because I was at Grenache Fest last night at the Market Street in Holland, and I had my reds on ice. I was chilling those down. I had this one there, our other Grenache and our GMS, and I was chilling those down to probably maybe 15, 16 degrees. And they just show so much better. Those lighter reds need a little bit of chill. Go too far and it just turns a bit harsh and metallic. But if it's too warm, even medium-bodied, light to medium-bodied reds, the alcohol can still pick up. So and they can catch on your throat. So serving temperature is huge. And Europeans don't have to worry about it because everything is cellar temp and it's 16 degrees. Here we need to worry a lot more about it. So it's a very important.
So you pretty much got across exactly where you wanted, wouldn't you? Didn't you?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, good work.
So there you go.
What would be the perfect food pairing with it? Don't look at what we brought.
No, that's right. So the body of this wine, it can stand up to something that's got a bit of richness to it. So if we're looking at meals, I'd be looking at something like either a creamy sort of chicken-based risotto or something like that, or I'd be also looking at something like an oily fish, so something like a salmon, but like a baked salmon kind of meal as well. And that crosses over into light reds. So I'd put that for both of those two. So we're looking at heavier whites and light reds. Often they can there's a crossover there where you can look at the same kind of food. But equally, if you chill that down and wanted to have it with like a rich sort of lobster base, that would be pretty awesome. So
Next time, Luke.
Crispy.
Next time, Luke, I expect
bring the hot pot.
Okay, I'll get onto that.
lobster
Crispy
tail,
skin salmon.
Yeah, I reckon that's the perfect
Yeah.
perfect match for that.
Yeah.
Because that oiliness matches with the texture.
Yeah.
And it's all about, I think, as far as food and wine matching goes, it's all about texture.
And where would the best place to buy this wine?
You're looking actually at a little bit of a pre-release. We only bottled this recently, and it's going to be on offer very soon.
Okay. So people can't get it right this second?
Not right this second, but if they want to, they can just shoot me an email through our website. We're just getting the website rebuilt at the moment, so about a week or two away from having that up and live. But shoot me an email. Details are on the website, and we can certainly fix you up. So,
or if they were lucky enough, they could throw a decent comment out and win a bottle.
There you go.
Win a bottle before it's even released.
So does that mean if I watch this show and I send through a comment, I might be able to?
If it's the best comment.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So 100 comments.
So work on it.
So probably not. But that was a great start. And
Good to
to be honest, it was a wine variety that I had never tasted.
I love showing.
Now
I love
I'm
the
showing
potential.
myself as a novice once again, but and we said it even a couple of times already. I wasn't a huge white wine fan, but I'm changing because that was a great wine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
and you're laughing because you knew exactly. What
No, well, I've got this stupid grin on my face and I had a stupid grin on my face when I first came here because when I taste something like this, it does it. I just get this stupid grin on because it is so good.
Yeah.
And the first day I came here, I had been to a Kidna Wines before and done about 20 wines before coming, because they do this crazy tasting, but I knew, and it came down to the aromatics of the first wine, and I was just like, hello, and I was talking to a guy at Bondar the other day.
Was it Andre? Or no, his mate.
No, his mate. Yeah. And I was saying, geez, your wines remind me of Aphelions, and then
And he brought, we got mates.
Yeah,
Andre,
brought up the connection, and
Yeah.
and again, when I was at Bondar, the head was spinning because you guys, what you're doing now, it's so very different to what I am accustomed to in the Vale and what I love in the Vale, but it's so brilliant because it's like I've got a new author or a new artist, a new singer, and I'm just going, oh my God, and they do all this and I get to taste them all. And
That's great. Yeah, good analogy, I reckon.
Yeah.
Good analogy.
I thought you
appreciate
could have
that.
thrown in Netflix series or something.
Okay,
but,
sorry.
It would be more relatable, but.
Fantastic.
Great start.
Last comment on that, just got top of its class at, that's our 3-week-old boy chiming in there too.
Right.
Just got top of class at McLaren Vale Wine Show.
Perfect.
You right, Luke? You want a bit more?
Oh,
Yeah.
I would never say no to any
Yeah, mate. So here's the first Grenache with
Well, before we even go on to that,
Go on,
what's the
yeah.
young fella's name?
Monty.
Monty.
Yeah,
full
Monty Mac.
After Montepulciano?
No, his full name's Montgomery, but we're going to make a Monty for him. So
Got to make.
You are getting good, aren't you? You can throw wine jokes in there.
Well, I'm trying.
Such a tiny
there he is.
Hello.
Hi.
Here he is.
This is Monty.
All right.
So sorry, about Grenache, this is a great little lead into what we do with Grenache.
Hello.
Gonna help out.
There you go.
You're not sure, are you?
Sure. So this is our 2020 Grenache, and 2020 you think is pretty young, and it is. We bottled this in late July, and the idea behind this range, which is called the Welkin range, we're going to have Chenin, this Grenache, and a Nero, a Malbec, and a Sagrantino Mataro, which is pretty obscure.
Sounds good.
Blend. And they're all about early drinking, early bottling, and very approachable. That's what we're after.
Yeah.
So we want the drinkability to be key on these, but then we want to be able to talk about the nuances and things as well. So this is from two different sites. One is Blewett Springs, which is we've talked about where this first wine came from, which is, as I say, a bit of a mecca for Grenache. There's about 40% in there, which gives it these aromatics and delicacy. The other one is from almost the diagonally opposite end of McLaren Vale, down near the bottom of the Victory Hotel there. So
Just where we
down
came
the hill.
from.
You did? Okay, so you've almost driven past that vineyard then. So you come down the hill, and it's just on your right-hand side. And that's younger vines. They give this real sort of intensity and colour. You can see it's a little bit tricky with the light, but it gives this huge vibrancy on the colour and the fruit intensity.
It's very purple.
It is very purple, and
Yeah.
we try and trap that in a few ways. One is by bottling pretty early.
Yeah.
And it seems to vintage always throws up different colours as well. So 19 was a very lightly coloured year.
Yeah.
And 20 seems to have thrown these amazing colours.
I'm amazed, 2020, how smooth this is.
We're trying to make it very approachable. So
Yeah.
like I said, the idea, the brief behind this range is, we've got a lot of experience with Grenache now, and I can sort of nail down sites and processes in advance of production really that I know will work well into a certain style. And this was always pigeonholed, this blend, as being super aromatic, super juicy, super approachable. So they're the batches that went into this blend.
Approachable is a word I like.
Well,
Yeah, it just
yeah,
fits.
that is
And that's the
exactly
sort of
what
wine
that is.
I like.
If I walked into Dan Murphy's or wherever, where do you sell it?
Just the independent side,
Independent.
sellers, East End sellers,
Yep.
regions.
Yep. If
Melbourne
I
Street.
saw a 2020 Grenache, I'd go past it. And that would have been a massive mistake because this is amazing. It really is. It's to be so young and so approachable. That's
Well, there's an
amazing.
education for the viewers, isn't it?
Yeah.
So not every
No.
2020 Grenache. We
No.
better
Yeah.
throw that out there straight away.
I
But
think that's important.
a few of them are made to drink now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've released a wine this young. So we've spent 6 years prior working with the variety, working very closely with the variety, championing the variety. And from that experience, I've been able to put together a wine that I feel is in the style that works well in an early drinking, early release Grenache. And this one actually just picked up a gold in the Halliday Grenache Challenge. So out of 130 national Grenaches, this one got a gold. So there were about 6 that got a gold.
So a gold in the Halliday
Halliday
Grenache.
Grenache Challenge, yeah, which is run at the same time as the McLaren Vale show. So gold in the McLaren Vale show and a concurrent gold in the.
Can I ask what this is going for a bottle?
28. Yeah,
It's insane.
I think that would certainly be the cheapest gold that it got. So yeah, there were some very serious wines in there.
Well, I just want to say congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's-
that's
It's,
outstanding.
It's a great result, and for the first release, I was massively excited about that. So.
So you've obviously done something right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think. Look,
Actually, let me rephrase that. You've done a lot right.
Yeah, you've done.
For both of us, we would have walked straight past the 2020 in the
Yep.
bottle shop. But hang on a minute, don't, because this is a cracking wine.
How do you get a wine like this to be so approachable? How do
So
you
there's
do
a few
it?
things. So picking time is crucial. So alcohol here is about 13.5%. And the way we get that is by picking a bit earlier.
Yep.
And what we get with picking early is obviously the lower alcohol, but we also get a different spectrum of flavour. It's more red fruit rather than... So Grenache, the longer it hangs on the vine, goes from that sort of red currant kind of
Yeah, it's a
aspect
bit darker.
right through to the violets and that sort of plummy aspect at the end. And once it gets to the end, it can get a little bit cloying and thick, but if we get it earlier, this is not super early, like you can get Grenache down to like 12% alcohol, but then they're quite green and a little bit harsh. The trick is getting it just in that sweet spot for this kind of style, where there's enough body and enough sort of hedonistic enjoyment, if you know what I mean.
Hedonistic
without-
enjoyment. Oh, I like that. I like that one.
Without
I've got
compromising
a
on
lot
the
of time
freshness.
for that word.
So, yeah, it needs to be balanced between that and the freshness, and that's
Yeah.
what we go for this one. It's layered, it's complex. It's about 5% whole bunch ferment in there. So what that does with those whole clusters of fruit and the ferment gives a little bit of structure.
Yeah.
So it needs that structure. If it was just like a bit of a short kind of sloppy finish, it wouldn't carry through well at all. But we need that little bit of tannin. It's just fine tannin on the finish.
Yeah, it's surprisingly got a fair bit of tannin.
Yep. So most of that would come from the stems,
Right.
the stems in the ferment.
That's a little trick.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I work a lot with whole bunch from 0% right through to 100%. I think we talked about it earlier, and I call those my pepper and salt batches, and I sprinkle those around to different batches or different wines that we produce, and there is a little bit in that. Not a lot, but
Should we be having some cheese with it?
yep.
Or
So
what's
what's
your
that one you got
thoughts?
there? So I reckon this one would go pretty well with some of the spicier. Maybe the ham actually. Oh no, the ham would probably go better with this one. The salami, sorry, but the little
Cabana?
the cabana could work really well. So I think for lightly spiced foods, this works really well. So things with a little bit of a chili hit or some subtle Asian dishes, this is perfect because it's got that level of fruit sweetness. There's no sugar in this; it's completely dry. But Grenache is naturally fruit sweet variety, and we're not trying to rein that in here. Some of the other Grenaches I work with more whole bunch, which balances out the sweetness to give a more savoury finish. I want to celebrate the fruit in this, and that matches, I think, with a little bit of spice, which is you're just going to get into that in that snack. So,
And it brings that out in the cabana. When I first eat it, the cabana, I don't know, it tastes great, but then you drink that with it, or just after you finish, and it heightens the sensation of both.
good to hear. Yeah, I thought that would work pretty well.
No, it did work really well. You know what would work well? I reckon a crispy pork belly Thai dish with that chili jam, or maybe we'll just go to Sinisa's and grab some, but it would go perfectly with that. Have you ever been to Sinisa's on Golfy Road at Christie's Beach?
No, I haven't. No.
It's one of the best Thai places in South Australia.
All right.
Authentic Thai lady,
Yeah.
mate of ours' wife,
Yep.
and she's got authentic Thai people. And there's different areas of Thailand for different varieties of food, and she's got 3 different chefs from different parts of Thailand.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go there.
So all right, we'll do it.
And take some wine with you.
Yeah.
She's got some nice wines in there. Have a chat with her because I think this would fit in perfectly.
Red wine is always a challenge when there's any spice involved.
Yeah.
So it needs to have a bit of that fruit sweet character. I mean, rosés are bang on for that kind of food, but a lighter red with a little bit of fruit sweetness goes well, I reckon.
That was a fair plug for her too, wasn't it?
That was an amazing plug.
Yeah.
So this one here, 2020, what's that going to be doing in 5 years or 2 years or 3 years? Where do you see it going?
The interesting thing is, so hopefully you've seen this as well, as it's been in the glass and you've been swirling it. It's evolved massively like in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
What that indicates to me is that it's going to develop quite nicely. I don't think it's going to be one that we'll be looking at in 10 years.
No, I'm thinking 5.
Yeah. So for this range, I
For a
always
couple
say
of reasons, because it's too good now.
That's right.
I'm not back to
Drinking
the
it.
last 10
Yeah.
years in my cellar.
Yeah,
But-
it is made to enjoy in the next 2 to 5, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think some of that big fruit will just settle down a bit, and some of the spice will get more overt. And
I really enjoy it now.
yeah, it's made
That's
to be super approachable.
crazy. Seriously, it's crazy for a 2020. I'll go as well. Not to be honest. I mean, there's not that many 2020s out. But even say it was a 2019, I have not had a better wine that young.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I really appreciate that.
outstanding.
And, yeah, it's our first crack at this particular style. Normally we hold things back for a little bit longer and add a few more different winemaking
You
artifacts to
knew
it.
you had it right though.
But yeah, that's the thing. And 2020 was, for us here in the Vale, was an exceptional year. Yields were low, so we didn't have a lot of it, but what we're getting out of 2020, and I'm about to bottle the 2020, the Confluence, the core range. I'm just stupidly excited about how that's going to look, because this is a lead-in. this is our lead in. This is our gateway Grenache, and it's already killing it. So the next level up. Stupid.
It's interesting because we were just at Danchi, and I guess Steve's a little worried about the 2020, and we tasted out of the barrel his 2020, and I thought it was absolutely outstanding. But he's the harshest critic on himself, and
his point was more of it wasn't what he usually.
Yes, okay, yeah.
So it wasn't as dark.
Yeah.
It wasn't as.
Okay.
It wasn't as. And he was talking about dark on the palate more than the
Well,
colour.
he's making a very different wine, but I still think straight.
I loved it.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what that wine's going to do.
Yeah.
And I'd be so excited. Maybe 3 years on that one. What that's going to do. I mean, right. Yeah. If you brought this to a barbecue party, whatever, and you brought it out, and you asked what year it was, there's no way anyone is going to throw out 2020 at you. No way in the world.
Unless I was.
Because it's a bit too.
Unless I was there. Yeah.
It's got those layers that have come in quite early, which is great. And that's what we're trying to do, is get something that had complexity, but was so easy to drink.
Just doesn't have any bite on it. It's got no, that youngness isn't there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, my palate for Grenache is quickly evolving.
Yeah, good to hear, because it's an amazing variety that I'm glad seeing.
Because my favourite was always Pinot.
Well,
and that's not, our other Grenache is much more sort of, I guess, Pinot-like. Whereas this is all about the intensity of fruit. Our complements is much lighter and more spice-driven, whole bunchy. So
whole bunchy.
Very different, but
that's what we
I like that one
whole
for sure.
bunchy.
yeah.
All right, so let's.
All right, we're going to have to hack at this for a minute. So this is our reserve, basically. We don't do very much of this. We make it in 6-packs, and we do about 100 6-packs. But what we do with this one is it's a best of vintage blend. So when I'm blending up all the other reds, I'm looking at what could work, or what barrels could work in our representation of the best of what we do, with no restrictions on blend or varieties.
Yeah,
So it's always vintage, but we can just play around with the varieties. So in 2018, which is what this one is, ended up being a Mataro base, about 50% Mataro, from Colville Road, just 2 k's over this way.
Where we just were.
Where we just came from.
Up through. There is 35% Grenache in here, which is 100% whole bunch fermented Blue at Springs material, so old wine, 85-year-old, top of the range. And then the balance is made up with a combination of Sagrantino to add structure.
You don't mind that, do you?
So, no, I do love it. I love. We make a straight Sagrantino and Sagrantino blend, like we were talking about earlier. But in just a few percent in a blend can add this tannin and this nice little. It's kind of like I was talking about pepper and salt before. It works so well. It's just a little finishing blend.
I've never had one.
So
Sagrantino.
yeah, there's a little bit around. It's not a lot. There's I think 3 vineyards that I know of in the Vale. Corinna's got one at Oliver's Tarango. Darren's have one, and the grower we work closely with, the Lopresti family. They have 2 rows. The packaging obviously is quite special. We've worked on this for a while. But the first thing we're always looking at is making sure the wine's right. So this is picked up a couple of 97s from Nick Stock and Hugh and Hook. So we're looking at a pretty serious
97s.
97s, yeah.
Just
so we're called the Rapture.
The Rapture. So that's
Why?
it's our big show. It's what happens at the end of the night to bring something impressive to the
That's what Rapture
to
means.
finish. Oh yeah, it's what it means to me. I mean, obviously there's a few different
No, it doesn't matter.
interpretations of it, but
Doesn't matter what dictionary
it's
it
our
is
big,
about
it's
what
our
it
big
means
show.
to you,
That's
yeah?
what it is, yeah. And it will always be.
And this will change
varieties.
depending on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the variety
On the
composition.
and
So when I'm blending it, I'm actually not looking at the varieties at all. It's just however it falls out, it falls out. So 2017 was a GSM. Turned out to be almost equal portions of GSM.
Right.
But in the 18, it was half Mataro, 35 Grenache, and then a balance of Sagrantino and a bit of Shiraz.
You've just got your best stuff, you've blended it together, and you've just come up with this year it will be this one, this year, based on what you've got in front of you.
That's exactly what it is. And to be honest, we hold back maybe 6 barrels, but usually only a couple will make it in. Because individually they might all look great, but in a blend they might not work.
Yeah,
so
totally.
that was only 100 6-packs. And we haven't actually released it yet. I'm not quite sure why this has happened, but we've actually already kind of half sold out of it. And I think the reason is because we have it on display up on the shelf. So when people come through for a tasting, I'll be opening the 17 which is in a bit more like this bottle.
Yeah.
And they love that. They've got a bottle of that, but then they'll say, "Can we get a bottle of the 18 as well?"
I know,
Without
I was,
trying.
I was drawn to it.
Yeah, the bottle
By
is
the
pretty
shape of the bottle. As soon as we
Yeah.
walked in, I went, "What's that?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've done well there.
Yeah, look,
Yeah,
it's,
no,
and the
good marketing
packaging,
point there.
packaging. I will not say packaging is not important because it
No, it
is
is.
the second most
It's-
important thing.
It is a cracking.
I think
wine.
it punches pretty well. It's it's designed to be our reserve. It's designed to be the best of what we can do.
Yeah.
On the nose, that's crackerjack.
I haven't actually shown this. I haven't even tasted this myself for about probably 3 or 4 months. So it's good to have a look at it. Because,
Yeah?
we don't show it. We're just working through the last of the 17, which is right in its drinking window or just into it. Whereas this is so tight. I love what it does in these glasses and it opens up quite nicely.
Yeah, no, I'm a
If I was
massive.
opening
What
this
are
up-
these glasses?
So these are Plum glasses. They've got a range of 3 glasses. They start with a white
Plum, did you say?
plum. Yeah, so Victorian company.
That's a brand?
Yeah, so Victorian company.
Adriana, I reckon we should hit them up. Some SA Wine Weekly ones would look really good, wouldn't they?
There you go.
Yeah, because they're really cool glasses.
They're European made, but Victorian company. So they do a burgundy glass, which is made for lighter reds and heavy whites.
I'm going to do a reach through.
What do you think after you haven't had a taste for a few? What's the difference from...
It's showing a bit more accessibility, but it's still so tightly coiled. So it's giving up a few characters.
Tightly coiled.
Yeah. So the way I can tell a quality wine, I think, in this kind of style is a young wine, I should say, is if I'm tasting it, I'm smelling it, and I'm picking up a few bits and pieces, but I can't quite pull it apart easily. And then I'll leave it. And so when I'm doing wine show judging, if I see a wine like this in a bracket of 40 reds, I'll have a sniff, have a taste. Oh, that's interesting. I'll push it back and I'll leave it. I'll come back. I'll go through everything else. And
So
I'll
you
come back.
move it up on the checkerboard?
Yeah, so well, it'll go into it'll come back for a
Yeah.
it'll come back for another look because often they need that time to show
True.
their best. And a lot of the best wines in shows get overlooked by judges who are not prepared to wait until they show themselves. And often, there's time pressures and things, but
Because you are tasting a lot in a
Yeah.
short amount of time.
yeah, we're tasting 120, 140 wines.
Yeah, in a day.
In a day, and then more on that with recalls and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're looking at probably up to 200 a day.
I've got such a more after going to the Adelaide Wine Show,
Yeah.
I've got such more appreciation for, what a gold medal actually means. Like before, I was a novice and didn't actually know. I thought it was something you put on the bottle so people who trawling through the bottle shop saw it and grabbed it. But the amount that goes and the science that goes behind it to actually as well, I thought maybe every now and then people don't know what they're tasting, but there's no way you can
No,
know.
it's completely blind, and the committee do all their best to make sure judges aren't tasting their own wines as well. So occasionally one might slip through, but very rarely.
Do you reckon you would know then if you're a big day of tasting of your wine?
Yeah.
Because you're so much.
Because I just drink enough of it, and our style is a little bit different to the mainstream style as well. So I could easily narrow it down to 3 or 4, and I could be very confident on a single one. But I try not to do that because it's probably won't be in front of me anyway. But
Layman's?
Layman's?
Novice and layman?
No, I've got a question. Sorry, I'm just going to.
Take over, mate. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's all right. I'm just taking over the show. Take us through the legs and what legs mean to you, because every person is going to tell you something about what it means when the wine
It's very
has legs.
evident in the
Legs is an
glass.
interesting one. So as wines increase in body, they obviously increase in alcohol. This is about 14.5%. So we've come from 13.5 to 14.5, so we've gone up a little bit there. It also has been ramped up in sort of fruit weight and intensity. You can see this is a more fuller body style. We're looking at medium plus to full body on this. The legs come about from a combination of things. One is alcohol. So combination of alcohol, and when there's higher alcohol, there's higher glycerol. And what that does is it makes the liquid thicker and gives it I won't get too nerdy, but it gives it a higher weight. So what that does is it takes, once you swirl it around the glass, it takes longer for bits to drop around for the legs to drop around the edge. There's 2 things that can do that. One is the alcohol and glycerol. The other thing is sugar. So sugar is viscous, it's thick. If you were talking at a dessert wine of 200 grams a litre of sugar, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to be thick.
I mean, I'm just watching these now, just those ones there, just falling down so slowly there, capturing the side.
And that, I mean, in good glassware as well, as long as they're, kept beautifully clean, that will happen. If they get a bit, sudsy or something like that, then that can make that look a bit weird. But they're the 2 things. So as a wine to get fuller bodied, the legs are going to get slower and thicker. And if you're on a sweet wine, they're going to get slower and thicker. So that's pretty much all that is. And look, to be honest, I wouldn't read much into that.
No.
I think it's an interesting, it's a very visual thing to look at.
I think this is my favourite part of the show, where it's just spelling what you're talking about.
No. Wait. No. I'm not at all disagreeing with this. I think people talk about the legs. No, it's a great wine. It's got nothing to do with it being a great wine.
No, true.
No.
It's a misconception.
Yeah.
To consumer land, and I'm not sure how it ever got sort of a foothold, but yeah, I mean it's purely down to the chemical basis of the wine.
Yeah.
There's nothing more than that. It's so quality is not related to how it looks dripping down the glass. It's more to do with, like I say,
alcohol.
sugar and alcohol, and glycerol, which makes it a thicker.
Does look
style.
pretty,
So yeah, it is nice. Yeah, and if you enjoy the look of it, then go for it, because I think it looks nice too. But
I'm not really going to enjoy the look of it because it's gone.
It's gone.
But,
yeah,
that's saying something about the wine, because it is a great drop.
I think this is. I'm pretty confident in saying this is the best wine we've ever made, and I am going to hold on to a lot of this. We only have about 20 or 30 6-packs left, and I'm going to pull a good 10 of those aside and just keep them.
We'll have one.
Because I'm bloody excited about this wine, and it's.
We'll at least go halves in one.
Yeah.
Put it in ourselves,
So
for sure.
what's this going to be doing in time? What do you see it as doing?
Okay, so at the moment it's still quite primary with that fruit. There's good dark fruit there for the Mataro. Spice earth is starting to come through. So this was bottled a while ago. This was December last year. So it's been in bottle almost a year. And it's just starting to show itself a little bit now. But the reason I love the Mataro as a base is because it has this like I say, spice and earth character. And that will get accentuated in time.
So optimum drinking time?
At
a guess.
Jesus, I'd be saying it'll be into its good drinking window in about 5 years, and I'd be saying up to 20.
Yeah.
20?
Yeah.
This
Without
is
any
We'll try and extract that, but yeah.
Yeah, this is just gonna. It's gonna go crazy.
We'll have to buy
Yeah,
one. We're going to have to go.
And
We'll have to buy one
at the
each.
moment, it's a gorgeous wine now, but you can feel it's holding on. It's just gonna go.
It's not giving up a lot yet.
And that tannin is just gonna.
No, I'd like
Go into it.
to. I'm going to buy 6, and I'm going to put them away. I'm going to drink one every 2 years.
That's a good shout. I reckon I'm going
I'll
to do
be
it
at your house in 2 years' time, and then 4. And
No, you got to buy one as well. Got to have something to compare it against.
that's an outstanding wine.
Having said that, it's pretty drinkable right now.
That's the thing. If you want to drink it, just get it in a decanter for maybe a couple hours. So if having
Or
dinner,
like this having this show, 3 beers.
3 beers. There you go. Yeah.
Put it in there for
give it
3
3 beers
beers,
worth. And then it's good. I think it would be good to go. It just needs that. It needs that air to open it up.
Have you got any? Actually, I know what the answer is going to be. It's going to be no, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Yeah.
Because you said year by year, the Rapture is a different wine because you've got different varieties in there. Any idea what this year is going to bring?
Oh, good question. Great.
That's a good question. We didn't do
I'll
it.
put that in.
Yeah, you can try and win a bottle. Yeah.
We didn't do a 19, so we've skipped 19 because 19 was a great year for us with its delicacy and its sort of poise, but it didn't suit what we're going for with this.
Right.
And in that time, I've sort of started to rethink about where we want to go with this project. And the 2020 will be bottling very soon, but we are actually going to move it to a straight Grenache. So we're going to put this as a 100% varietal Grenache. It'll be our bookend Grenache.
So the
at the end
best
of the range.
possible fruit.
Yeah, exactly. The volume will be about the same. It'll be probably 100 6-packs. But we work with so many amazing Grenache vineyards. There's 2 or 3 that just do amazing stuff, and they all go into the confluence and into this one here. But there's usually a barrel or 2 that deserves its own recognition. And this for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, worked really well for us. But I want our flagship and what we're really well known for is Grenache, and I want it to be the best of what we can do with that single
that
product.
makes sense.
So,
It's extremely clever too, because it's what is evolving in McLaren Vale is Grenache.
Yep.
And we're going to keep reminding people that Blue Springs is one of the best possible places.
But
down the road.
just
Down the road.
here.
Yeah.
Just down the road.
Yeah. So some of the best, you got access to the best possible fruit.
Can I ask
That's
you
the thing.
with that, down the road here, Blue Springs, what's the difference with the Grenache?
Yep. So normally, if we're looking at the southern half of the Vale, which is what you're talking about here, We're looking at a bit more structure. We're looking at usually a darker fruit spectrum. So we're looking at maybe, if you want to compare it internationally, you're looking at more of the southern French kind of style, like the Chateau Neufs, those sort of things, where you get a bit more darker fruit, more intensity. If we're looking at Blewett Springs, we're looking at finer boned, elegant, floral, aromatic. And that's what we chase.
Yeah.
That's what we love. So you can see in this one that we tried here, it kind of takes the best of both.
Yeah.
It has the intensity of down this way, but then it has the aromatics and the poise and the lightness of Blewett Springs. So the regions work well together, but I think to show the absolute best, and that's my perspective, Grenache is such a transparent grape, and transparency comes from lightness, and lightness of touch, lightness of production, and lightness of fruit, and that is where Blewett Springs is absolutely excelling. So that's my kind of take on that, I think.
So if people want to come and see you, they would need to give you a call. Or
Just
an
jump on the
email.
woodsite. So
jump on the website.
if you
in a couple of weeks,
just
Google
Google
that.
it. Yeah, no.
is
Now,
that still?
it's actually
Okay.
so the booking side is fine.
Okay.
It's just the purchasing is a little bit.
So in other words, come see you.
Come and see, and
Or
just
something,
get it through here.
yeah.
If you want to buy, just email us. That's fine. We can sort that out. But if you want to visit, then yes, jump on the website, and there's a
And what's
cellar
the,
door.
when's the best time to visit?
Well, we're open 7 days.
Yeah.
And basically, if we're not here, we'll sort of black out a time that
Yeah.
we're not here. So if you can book a time, we'll be here for it.
Right, so we can come here on a Monday.
Coming on Monday, coming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, no, don't tempt us. We would like to.
Yeah.
It's about 3 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning.
that's right. Well, it's open. So,
I would like to say thanks very much for coming on the
yeah,
show.
no worries at all. Thank you
And
for
Luke,
the chance.
you have I was a bit iffy on whether you want to actually produce, but you have done that.
You've done all right.
Thanks, mate.
You have done an amazing job.
I appreciate that.
All the places we went to today have been superb. There's no reason that I can think of that people wouldn't jump on a tour. People can contact you, Gone Awol Tours,
Gone Awol Tours.
and talk to you about what sort of varieties they like,
yeah.
and you can structure a tour to what they like.
I'm all about doing exactly what they want to do, but at the same time,
Or influencing them to
yeah, well, if they say this is what I'm into, well, I'd like to suggest, well, how about here, or how about here? I don't want to say you must do this, but I'd strongly suggest if they're into Grenache or Shiraz or Cabernets or whatever it might be, Grecos, Griots, then I could say, well, da 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 da. And I love it because people often say to me, I want to go da 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 da, and I said, well, how about we throw in one of mine or two of mine, and always at the end of the day, when I take them to places like here, places like Agostino's, places like Danchi or McCarthy's or any of the other ones, they're the ones that they rave about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And this is really, really, really special wine. So,
Oh, it is. You've outdone yourself.
yeah.
Congratulations. I was talking to you.
Yeah, I was about to say, I did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you did bugger all, but an amazing white we never heard of.
Yeah.
Ready to drink that blew us both away.
And what I just want to say is, if you taste the other ones out there and you think that's good, well, wait till you try some that are out there.
I'll have to come back.
Yeah.
Luke?
Well, I'll be back.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's right.
I might have to sneak on a tour. Thanks very much, Luke. Great tour.
Cheers, mate.
Great tour. I wasn't really that excited about it, but you have done totally outdone
Keep saying
yourself.
that.
He pumped me up, doesn't he?
Yeah, all right.
No,
Yeah.
well, you pumped yourself up and up all day.
It's all about the pump.
Excellent.
There you go.
Thanks for watching. 8 o'clock, Facebook,